The following video is a video that's available on my Patreon page, and every once in a while I'll take a Patreon video and post it on here on YouTube, because I like to give people kind of a rough idea of some of the content that you can find on my Patreon website, and there's hours and hours and hours of bonus material that you will never find here on YouTube. So again, every once in a while I'll take a video, throw it here on YouTube, in hopes that it'll catch people's interest and maybe inspire them to go check out the website. There's a ton of information on there. Welcome to a new video, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk in this video about energy and how we're constantly leaking or losing energy, oftentimes from our own behaviors, patterns, even thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Thinking drains you of energy. It requires resources to think. Thinking is not just some process that is not connected to energy. It's connected to your body. Your body and your mind are intimately connected. And when you constantly dwell in negativity or doubt, disbelief, depression, that requires energy, that requires resources. And unless you're putting those resources back, you can run into trouble rather quickly. This is one of the reasons why I am such a fan of alchemy. Alchemy is the practice or the science of learning how to master energy, ladies and gentlemen, learning how to bring energy into your system, hold on to it, integrate that energy so that you can store enough personal energy to have your health and to fuel whatever it is that you want to do in life. So a lot of people, especially people who are spiritually minded, they're constantly trying to do things that require lots of mental energy, such as magic or like law of attraction stuff, subconscious work, without ever replacing all of the energy that they're wasting through their rituals, through their mind. The mind power is, again, it requires resources. It requires energy. Just like the physical body requires nutrients and, micronutrients and minerals, the mind requires energy. So one of the greatest ways to get more energy into your system is through food, proper diet, adequate rest, ladies and gentlemen, and especially breathing. And that's why I constantly recommend a book called Overcoming the Archon Through Alchemy by John Kreider. Go on to Amazon. You can buy that book in e-format for $5.99. I recommend buying it for $12.99 in paperback. It's got a better feel to it, although I do like the fact that the e-book has color pictures. So that book teaches you something that's known as the alchemical trinity, which is essentially the in polarity, the void polarity, and the out polarity. It's a way of mastering your breath and learning how to integrate energy, from the outside world, how to bring it into your system. And on top of that, it teaches you how to store that energy so that you can fuel your metabolic processes, so that you can re-enliven your body with the vital life force energy that's all around us everywhere in infinite abundance. And then it teaches you how over time you can use that stored energy to not only enhance your life, expand your lifespan, you name it, but it teaches you how to use that energy for your spiritual, your whatever it is that you're doing, whatever you're trying to attract into your life, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, whatever it is really that you're trying to do here in this world, we need energy for, or we need energy to do it, So I'm obsessed with energy. I'm constantly trying to bring more of it into my body, more of it into my mind, and store it so that I can potentially attain the benefits of doing so, and I already have. So in most spiritual systems, ladies and gentlemen, especially, in most healing systems, and especially in traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, it's said that we come into this world with a specific amount of energy, and the degree in which we burn through that energy dictates how well we age, our potential diseases that we may accumulate. The degree of energy that we come into this life with is something that, in my opinion, is not set in stone. I believe that you can, even if you've lost significant amounts of your life force, bring more of it into your system rather quickly. But most people don't do that. So you come into this world, the typical person does indeed come into this world with an almost predetermined set or amount of energy. And that energy begins to dwindle through breathing. We lose energy through breathing, especially breathing that doesn't bring energy into our systems, which most of us do. Breathing can be utilized in a way that actually brings more energy into your system, but we don't have any of that connectivity anymore with breath and the mind. We don't integrate breath. We don't even realize necessarily that food is like the most valuable fuel source You can live without water for a really long time, believe it or not. I'm not recommending that anyone do that, and I think dry fasting is really stupid. But you can live without water. You can live without food for a long time. But you can't live without air for very long, can you? Try, or I'm not going to say try, but you can't live for 20 minutes without air, ladies and gentlemen. It's the most necessary fuel source. It's the foundation. And in the schools that we go to, and I'm at a school right now, this mind control facility. I come here because this is a field that I come to where I can escape the matrix. This is a power spot, an electron blanket of energy. All of this greenery, I can ground on it. That's besides the point. But the mind control facilities and institutes around this dimension, ladies and gentlemen, they don't teach you how to master your breath. No, they teach you how to remember facts that were handed down by other institutions and people, and then they regurgitate this cultural narrative of these belief systems that are taught and perpetuated through these school systems, which have nothing to do with enlightenment, have nothing to do with, you know, again, learning how to master your breath. They have nothing to do with teaching you how to eat properly. School is a joke. It's an absolute joke, in my opinion. So the process of waking up truly is you learning how to unlearn all the garbage that you've learned so that you can relearn, or not relearn, but learn how to store energy in your body so that you can heal. Waking up is about you realizing that you're leaking energy. And until you can connect back to that energy that you're leaking, there's no point in you studying a bunch of spiritual stuff or esoteric stuff. You're losing your energy, folks. The foundation of the alchemist is to reintegrate the energy back into his or her system that he or she is losing. Mental mastery here, ladies and gentlemen. Physical mastery, emotional mastery, breath mastery. We've got to take our power back. And I see, especially in the spiritual movement right now, so many people just buying books and trying to accumulate knowledge. Wisdom is much more important in today's age, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have time for all this knowledge of, you know, studying all these factoids. If a factoid or something that you're reading can't be put into action to improve your life, then really, what is the point of it? There's a spiritual war going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. We are losing our energy on a drastic level, to a drastic degree. Focus more. Your foundation, if you are interested in healing, should be bringing energy back into your system. Learning how to control your emotions in your mind so that you're not constantly dwelling in thought patterns that drain you of your vitality. We all have this inner vampire complex where this culture has indoctrinated us with these bogus belief systems that cause our minds to act in certain ways and travel down certain patterns that drain us of our vitality. And so many people aren't even aware of this because many of these thought complexes are unconscious, and because the average American or person worldwide never sits in a state of calm or tries to silence his or her mind, these thought patterns and different mind control complexes go unnoticed completely. So you go through your life, living your life, thinking that you're in control of your mind, thinking that you're in control of your life, again, thinking that everything's honky-dory, not even realizing that you are only experiencing the tiniest iota, the tiniest fraction of your potential. You don't even know how to breathe properly. We don't even understand, most people don't even understand that they're losing massive amounts of energy due to what they're focusing on, due to their bogus, outdated, non-questioned belief systems that they accepted from their parents and the culture that they live in. Your mind is probably not yours. You need, if you're interested, ladies and gentlemen, in becoming a greater version of yourself, you have to find the authentic, real you deep down inside, beyond all the programming. And this is something that many people will never want to do because most people think that they're the shit, that they don't have much improvement to do, that they're in control of their life. I mean, think about it. You're in control, aren't you? No. Your programming is controlling you because it's suffocating the authentic you. Deep down inside us, there is a deep down inside each and every one of us, there is a limitless entity. There is a limitless you that is connected to the elements, which is connected to the real God, the true God. But this culture masks that, and it indoctrinates our mind with certain thought programs and patterns so that we never really even... the programming works in a way, ladies and gentlemen, where it makes you not even think or question that there could be programming. It makes you completely sure of yourself. It makes you think that you're right. It makes you think that, oh, there's no way I'm programmed. Most people live like this. And that's why so many people seem half dead when you become more illuminated, ladies and gentlemen, because the process of illumination requires you to realize that you have some serious work to do to reprogram your mind so that you can become a limitless entity by restructuring your thoughts and attaining peace of mind. So when you become more privy to the fact that you're programmed and you start doing the work and attaining, you know, deep relaxation, like I talk about often, when you attain a state of more thoughtlessness so that you can calm your mind, so that you can search inside your mind, because your conscious mind is constantly blah, 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 and all the unconscious levels of your programming are constantly chattering all the time too. You've been taught to always think. You're always thinking. Your mind is always diverting energy or expelling energy into something, even when you're not aware of it, because again, you've never really sat down and calmed your mind and listened to the chattering monkey of the mind. Your life, the majority of the people that I communicate with, their life is driven by their 5 senses that are not illuminated. The 5 senses can become illuminated, but you do that through deep introspection and calming your mind so that you can finally find some stillness, so that you can finally find some peace, because trying to find peace, and I've talked about this in previous videos, I don't want to rant about it too much. If you can't find peace, it's because of a blockage in your mind. It's because your mind has been programmed to constantly be thinking. That's why I talk about a minimalistic meditation. Try to sit for 5 minutes and just focus on your breath. What it feels like to come in and out of you without having a single thought. Most of you won't be able to do this. I'm still working on it as well. I'm improving my life as well. It's not like I'm some grand master or anything. I'm just trying to educate you in regards to certain things that I've found to be true and very beneficial to my life. It's very beneficial to try to calm your mind down in a world where you've been programmed to constantly think and constantly expel energy into things without even being aware of it, because you have your conscious mind, then you have your unconscious mind. Parts of your unconscious mind are constantly processing data and sending information to your conscious mind without you even being aware of it. But that's besides the point. That is besides the point, folks. Where was I getting at with that? I lost my train of thought, excuse me. Bear with me 1 minute and see if I can pull it out of the memory bank. I was saying that when you start becoming more illuminated, you'll notice that the masses are very comfortably numb. That's because they've accepted the idea that they are who they are and there's nothing more than that. It's very easy to become comfortable with the ego, and that's what the system does. That's also how the Archon feeds on you. If you're interested in learning more about that, go back and watch my previous last 2 videos. I discussed that in detail. But when you become more awakened, you realize that most of the people around you, they're on a completely different wavelength. And the system wants you to get stressed out by this. The system wants you to, as you try to become more conscious, be discouraged by everything. Realize that you're on the path of true healing. Stop letting these little things get to you. Yeah, we live in a world where everyone, pretty much the 99% of the population, is in a current trance. And that trance is causing them to lose excessive amounts of energy that is utilized by the Archon. The true process of becoming more conscious can be very traumatic. It is a traumatic thing. You have to dissolve what you've become so that you can reintegrate. You have to turn lead into gold, alchemically speaking. That is a metaphor for you leaving behind all the impurities. The only way for you to leave behind impurities is for you to become aware of those impurities. Alchemy is largely about the mind, ladies and gentlemen, because through the mind, which is the operating system of the hardware, which is the body, you control what you do in this physical world. And if your mind is not clean, if your mind is not purged, if it's not exalted, if you have not turned your lead into gold, then you will make decisions based on lead, which is an alchemical reference, a metaphor for you harboring dross, which is a fancy word for impurities. Impurities of the mind cause impurities of the body, cause impurities in your life to happen. We have to dissolve, we have to reintegrate. Alchemy is largely about the mind. So many people are obsessed with alchemy and get interested in, oh, I'm going to buy these potion bottles and all this other shit. These fancy distillation tools for distilling oils and all this other stuff to find the Philosopher's Stone. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philosopher's Stone is within you. It's the Kundalini energy, which brings you to states of higher consciousness so that you can understand the higher self and become immortal. That's what the Philosopher's Stone is. It's not some stone out there in some pyramid waiting to be found. That is nonsense. That is rubbish. That is foolish. To think that the Philosopher's Stone is only out there waiting for one person to find. Only one person can attain it. It's in some treasure chest somewhere. That's nonsense. You're looking for treasure outside of yourself, many of these alchemists, not even knowing that they are operating within the most divine vehicle ever made. You cannot recreate a human being. It is worth more than anything. But you've been programmed to think that you're an insignificant little creature in a world of objects, not a world of energy. You look outside of yourself and you don't even see the energy. You don't even see the divinity. You live in a prison of your mind. And the only way to escape this prison is to first realize that you're in a prison. You can't escape something if you don't know what you're in. Does that make sense to you? So many people think that to become spiritual, it's all about just focusing on positivity. That takes way too much energy to constantly try to cover up negativity with positivity. That drains people. That's why so many people in the law of attraction movement or in the even magic communities, they seem drained. They seem like the vampire sucked the energy out of them. It's because they always are on the lookout for trying to put positive spins on negativity. That is what the New Age community is largely based about. It's injecting positivity, inoculating positivity, into things that are bad. That's horrible. By default, by doing that, you're saying that there should be, when you try to inject positivity where it doesn't belong, you're basically saying that the negativity that you're trying to mask with positivity is a good thing. You're not supposed to try to find positivity in bad things. You set yourself up to subconsciously believe that bad things are good by doing that. That's not correct. That's not just. That's not balanced. That's not something that an individual that's sanctified does. Oh, there's positivity in the fact that these animals are being slaughtered. There's everything happens for a reason, bro. It's all part of the higher overall hive mind of the angelic spheres manifesting on the physical plane. Get out of here. Things happen, bad things happen because people operate on ignorance. They operate without the higher functioning of their mind because they've never gone into their mind to purge all the bullshit out. So now we live in a hive collective of people who are all operating from within the confines of their lower self, which the lower self, ladies and gentlemen, is just a metaphor that I use to describe an individual who's operating for the lowest portions of his or her awareness. He's not even aware that he or she has illegitimate thinking patterns that cause havoc in his or her life. We have a collective consciousness of individuals operating on this bandwidth. And all of these thoughts create thought forms, and all the actions and mental activity of all these brainwashed people create a conglomeration of energy that is saturated over the earth that is affecting this dimension in a very negative way. That's why when you become more conscious, when you really become illuminated, ladies and gentlemen, it causes you experiencing a Kundalini experience and unplugging from all the nonsense, for instance, awakens all your psychic centers and hyper illuminates all the tissues in your brain. You become more of a divine receiver. You become connected to God. Your metaphysical antennas go upwards instead of being lumped down and dead. And when you really become an empath, when you become aware of the energy, the negative energy out here, and how much of it there is, because when the Kundalini awakens, it causes you to actually be able to feel things, because right now you're numb. Because you don't have higher thinking, you don't have your psychic centers stimulated. But when you do, you become privy to the ocean of negative energy out here that the masses are spilling out with their thoughts, with their emotions, through their bodies, into the ether. And boy, oh boy, is that a sight to behold. And boy, oh boy, is that hard to learn how to integrate. And boy, oh boy, is that hard to accept that we live in a hell realm. We live in a hell realm. And it's up to the alchemist to store as much energy from this dimension as he or she can, so he or she can stop losing all of his or her energy, because that's what the system wants. That's how they keep you conveniently in check. They drain just enough energy from you to keep you manageable and to keep you from being able to question that you're being pretty much farmed for your energy, ladies and gentlemen. Earth is an energy farm. It's an energy farm. What do you think they were trying to convey in the movie The Matrix when Morpheus says, Neo, you've been turned into this, a battery, an energy source. Come on, wake up. Start learning how to breathe better. Start relaxing. You've got to do the relaxation rituals from Philip Cooper's book, The Magician. I talked about it in a previous video, multiple videos I have. You got to learn to calm your muscles down. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, you're walking around the matrix with a bunch of stored tension in your muscles that you're not even aware of. You've become so accustomed to the stress in your muscles that you think that that's naturally how the body's supposed to feel. When you really, truly start unwinding all of the negativity from your body, you become looser than cream corn. You become loose as a goose. You can finally experience relaxation. That ritual allows you to relax your tissues, your organs, your glands, your bones, and to let go of all the tension, the stored, accumulated bullshit, negativity in your tissues. Do you have any clue how good that feels in the long run when you really start to break all of the tension out of your muscles and you start reprogramming your muscle memory in a positive way? Until you relax your muscles and unwind all the stored engrams in the muscle tissues and the mind-body complex, your body will operate on a negative muscle memory that brings you negativity, more and more of it. You've got to relax your body and reprogram yourself. Come on. The mind and the body are intimately connected. You can get to the mind through the body, and you can get to the body through the mind. Did I say that twice? You can get to the mind through the body, and you can get to the body through the mind. Why am I struggling with this? You can use your mind to get to your body, and you can use your body to get to your mind. The two are intimately connected. By doing relaxation rituals, calming your muscles down and letting all the tension go, your mind goes, wow, this feels really good. I finally have some peace. You start to integrate that into your conscious world, and before you know it, after a month or two of doing this, you feel much better. You don't have as much anxiety. Things are much easier for you. Easy peasy. But the system wants you to constantly be watching the boob tube, wants you to be constantly inoculated with sound, because most people are obsessed. They are addicted to sound. Most people don't like silence, and even if you try to attain silence, there will constantly be the residual humdrum of the city. I recommend getting a fan, putting it in your room, putting it on low to drown out all the sound of the city while you try to sleep and whatnot. Put on a fan on low so that you don't hear all the bullshit, because even if you live in the city, you constantly hear cars, you hear people, you hear all this nonsense. And do you know what happens when you try to sleep? When you're constantly hearing noise, the mind picks up on that and causes you to be more alert. So good luck entering lucidity. Good luck, really tapping into the power of REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, 3 and 4, which is the deepest, most regenerative states of sleep. Good luck with all the noise. Again, this has all been done by design. And it's conveniently worked very, very well for the mind controllers out here, the system overlords, which are just master magicians. They're master sorcerers. They are master psychologists. They understand how your mind works, and they know how to keep it in a box. How convenient. How convenient. So start storing energy, ladies and gentlemen. Start getting sunlight on your face. Start consuming the teas I talk about, like the Gynostemma pentaphyllum, the Schizandra berry. Schizandra berry is one of the only herbs in the traditional Chinese medicine system that can balance, tonify, and re-nourish the 3 treasures of Chinese healing, which are your Jing, your Shen, and your Qi. Your Jing is your primal essence, your Shen is your spirit, and your Qi is your vitality. When you start losing energy, you lose your Jing. When you start losing your vitality, you start losing your Qi. Your Jing, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of like a candle. The candle wax represents the amount of energy that you have. The Qi represents the flame of the candle. If that candle burns too big, your Jing or your wax melts too quickly and you lose your vitality. So if you burn through your Qi, which is your vitality, you burn through your Jing, which is your genetic reserves, basically, of your stored energy. Now that candle flame and the illumination, or the illumination, that comes off of the flame, which is your Qi, or the Qi is the flame, the Jing is the wax, and the illumination of the light from the flame, that's your Shen, that's your spirit. So you need a balance between the treasures, the 3 treasures, the Jing, the Shen, and the Qi, or the Qi. Schizandra is one of the only herbs. I think reishi mushroom can do it, and I think there's a few others. I think Gynostemma might be able to as well. But Schizandra tonifies, rebalances, and renourishes all 3 of those levels. It's one of the greatest ways to get more vitality back into your system. Get more energy back into your system, make it more spirit. It's a profound mental tonic. It has it's known as the 5-flavored berry, and it's also known as Wu Wei Jia. It harbors the 5 flavors: sweet, sour, salty, pungent, and bitter. Because of that, it stimulates all 5 major organ systems in the traditional Chinese medicine system. It passes into the 12 main meridian systems of the human body, and it even slips into the extraordinary channels and stimulates the 3 Dantian points within the cerebral spinal system. This is a profound tonic. Take advantage of the fact that you can access herbs nowadays that hundreds of years ago were only reserved for the elite. The kings, the queens, the emperors. You can become your own emperor. What are you waiting for? What is an emperor? An emperor is someone, it's a metaphor, it's an archetype for someone, ladies and gentlemen, who has mastered his or her energy. Who has mastered his or her energy. Because through the mastery of your own energy, you can start to become the true you. Trying to unplug from the system without adequate energy is like, how would I even, I don't even know, have a legitimate metaphor off the top of my head to describe it. Trying to unplug from the system or from the mind control without adequate energy is like plugging in a completely drained electric car for 5 minutes when it's completely empty, and then expecting to be able to drive from California to Oregon. It's just not going to work. You need energy in order to do things in this world. That's why I'm out here on this grass receiving negatively charged electrons right now from this power spot. Again, a power spot is a place that you can come to receive energy from the earth that's away from all of the bullshit, all of the electromagnetic fields that are everywhere. And even here, ladies and gentlemen, at this school that I'm at, this is my old middle school, they've erected 4 cell phone towers on this school. We are exposed to 100 million times more electromagnetic pollution and frequency emissions from these cell phone towers, from all this garbage, Wi-Fi, invisible pollution. We're exposed to 100 billion times more of that than our grandparents or from our ancestors. I think it was even our grandparents and their great-grandparents. There was a day, ladies and gentlemen, where we didn't have all the inundation of bad energy around us, but now it's a completely different playing field. You've got to start reserving your energy because there is depletion of energy on all fronts here in this matrix. That's what the matrix is. It's a mind control system that makes you have a narcissistic ego complex whereby you think that you are who you are. You think that you're the shit. You think that you're like this cool person. You come into this world and you develop all of these different programs from this world, and your mind is not even your own. Your mind is an amalgamation of everything that you've observed from the time you were in utero, pretty much. You've taken all of that information and created an idea of what you are, when in fact, what you are is a limitless entity that is beyond your programming. But you're not even aware of your programming because these layers of your programming are unconscious, and you were never taught this in school. You were taught to chase the dollar. You were taught to chase vanity and all the stupid bullshit that TV spews into your mind that you pay top dollar for every month. It's time to wake up. It's time to take your energy back, ladies and gentlemen, unless you want to be a bitch for the system. And many people will. And that's okay. The Archon has done a great job molding the minds of the masses. The Archon, also known as Mara in Buddhism, or there's so many different names for this archetype of a negative energy source that uses human beings for its fuel source. Mara, the demon, whatever you want to call it, has done a great job. It's done a great job. We've all actively participated on one way or another, or most people multiple ways, in our own demise. It all starts up here in the mind. Your degree of physical growth here in this world, your degree of expansion spiritually, is contingent upon and directly relative to the amount of input that you put into your mind to grow. It completely creates the output. Your lack of ability to escape the change of your own thinking process, but not even being able to be aware of them, keeps you in a state of spiritual death. Spiritual death, ladies and gentlemen. It all starts in the mind. You are so much more than you think that you are. We are so much more. Wow, have we been sold a bill of goods, and wow, have we been hoodwinked, and wow, have we been tricked on a level that is so beyond the average person's scope to even grasp that it would make his or her life completely the average person, if they truly became aware of the programming and the degree of slavery that they've accepted, they would go absolutely insane if they could download the whole thing all at once. And that's why Morpheus in the movie The Matrix, who is just a archetype of Lucifer, ladies and gentlemen, think about it. Morpheus, Lucifer, a Trinity who is Eve leads Neo, who is Adam, to Lucifer, who is Morpheus, where Lucifer or Morpheus offers Adam the red pill, which is the apple of Eden. Trinity has already taken it. It's the story of you're seeing the story of Genesis played out right in front of your eyes, but you can't see it. Morpheus says in the first Matrix, I believe it was, it might have been the second, that once a mind reaches a certain age, they don't unplug it. It's too traumatic. That's a metaphor for when Neo gets unplugged, he realizes all of his programming instantly. The average person who does not have physical or mental health, who is past a certain age limit, can be driven insane rather quickly if they receive a Kundalini awakening, which is the true unplugging process that's described in the movie The Matrix. The Kundalini unplugs all your bullshit, realigns you with God, and completely reactivates all the dormant energy centers in the body. Go and watch the movie The Matrix, where Neo is being operated on after he gets unplugged when his muscles are malnourished, where he has all the acupressure points being stimulated and acupuncture points with those needles. That's metaphor, ladies and gentlemen, of all his meridians being illuminated again. Anyways, folks, just a brief little message. I'm out here getting some energy. You should be doing it as well. Get away from the TV. Start questioning your belief systems. You do this by calming your mind. You do this by starting with the minimalistic meditations, folks, working with your inner temple, and going in and doing the relaxation rituals, which I discussed in the previous videos that I posted here, which are titled the Pentagram Rituals, and there's something else, a true foundation for self-mastery. I will put the links of those videos in the description box of this video here on Patreon so that you can conveniently find them. Watch all of these videos more than once and try to integrate the lessons contained therein. I'm going to wrap this one up, ladies and gentlemen. Stimulate your body, stimulate your mind by questioning what you've been clinging to. Only through questioning and asking why can we find the answers. We have to unlearn what we've learned and then rebuild ourselves based on truth. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to stack truth on top of mistruths, and that's the thing about self-mastery, is it requires you to question, and most people don't want to do that because most people want to just go slide through life plugged into the static, plugged into the ups and downs and ebbs and flow of whatever the fuck this system wants for them. So, if you are really truly interested in true healing, it all starts by questioning your thoughts so that you can dissolve the old thoughts and integrate new ones, creating new belief structures. Thoughts emanate through the belief structures. Thoughts are like, the beliefs are like the scaffolding through which our thoughts emanate. By changing the beliefs, you can change the direction of the thoughts. So, and thoughts are energy. Energy directs things in this world. So you can redirect your life based on changing your thoughts. I'm going to start getting a headache. I've been out here way too long in the sun. I love you all. Consume quality teas like Gynostemma, Pentaphyllum, Schizandra berry, reishi mushroom, things that can actually bring more vigor into your system. Peace be with you.